Manhunt 2 is a rare misfire from a time when Rockstar could seemingly do no wrong.
They even made the sequel, shit! That is commitment to the genre!
I give Manhunt 2 58 out of 100 bean colas. It might not sound that bad, but by Rockstar standards, it's a huge decline in quality, making this, in my view at least, Rockstar's most disappointing game. The story felt rushed, the action kept pushing horror aside, the cutscenes looked unfinished, the soundtrack was severely lacking near the end, and the final 2 levels were uninteresting.
Manhunt 2 is an overhated masterpiece. I'm tired of pretending it's not. I love this game so much. I've replayed it a lot. Through mods, sure, but I've come back to visit it every so often. It's great. There's so much about it that I love. I love the story, I love the setting, I love the tone, the brutality of it. I like the way it improves in the first game while still paying tribute to it. It honestly does not deserve its bad reputation, with some caveats. Those caveats in particular would be, if you're talking about like the PS2 version of it, the highly censored, inferior PS2 version, then I would agree. That is a bad game compared to the first game, and in general, you shouldn't have to get nausea-inducing effects whenever you do an execution. If we're talking about the PSP version, it's still a step down, but the censorship isn't as bad, so I gotta give it credit there. The Wii version is all over the place, but it does have some neat quirks about it. Plus, the interactive execution part is cool. Now, if we're talking about the uncut PC release of Manhunt 2, then I disagree about Manhunt 2. I think the PC release of Manhunt 2 was one of Rockstar's best games, in fact. I'm not just saying that to be contrarian. I mean, I'm not a fan of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm sure GTA 6 will be fine, I just don't really have any interest in it. But I loved their other games. I loved Max Payne 3, I loved the original Manhunt, mostly, and I really liked GTA 5. So, to put Manhunt 2 above all those, a game that Rockstar doesn't even acknowledge these days? Yeah, I'm gonna need to back that up with an argument. A lot of arguments. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So, feel free to join me on this strange and fascinating journey as I break down why I think Manhunt 2 is an overhated masterpiece. A game that deserves a lot more praise than it's got. And I think people are turning around on it, to be fair. But there's still room to rehabilitate its image. I guess I'll take the first step in that. After countless rewrites, reworks, and studio handoffs, Manhunt 2, to me, still ended up being a really good game. Sort of like Homefront: The Revolution in that regard, where both of them had troubled developments, troubled launches, but in the end, the final product turned out to be really good. Manhunt 2 is uncompromising in the way it presents itself. It is a dark and violent and intense stealth game with moments of gunplay and intense action, and it really immerses you. From the first level, I love the Dixmoor Asylum opening. Just the intenseness of Denny realizing he might have to fight his way out to survive, and Leo trying to guide him into carrying out these acts against the people who've kept him locked up for so long.
This guy stands between you and freedom.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
If he sees you, he will kill you, understand? Waste him.
But he's a nurse. He'll help me. This is insane.
Go on, try it. See how it feels to own a life. That's...
Killed him. I feel sick.
The level progression is really good. It does not overstay its welcome. In fact, I'd say I don't really dislike any of Manhunt 2's levels. My only complaint is that sometimes they're just too short. Safe House in particular has that issue, but I can't say I really dislike them. I think that's part of the charm, why I revisit Manhunt 2. Every level captures a certain vibe that makes it really strong. Sure, there is, after a while, a rhythm of the initial stealth section or two, followed by a gunplay section or two, but the levels still find ways to shake that up and to throw you off. And each level has a unique vibe or gimmick to make it stand out. I think Sexual Deviance is well remembered for very good reasons. The gradual buildup of the seedy nightclub to the horrific torture dungeon is something you don't forget, especially with the music blaring to make you even more uncomfortable. Manhunt 2's world is dirty and grimy, and you just feel like your skin's crawling when you're going around there. You are up against horrible people in pretty much every level, with aside from some rare exceptions, and it does not shy away from the fact that a lot of the people that Danny ends up killing really deserve it.
Do it before it's too late.
Whichever ending you get also has a really clever way of being carried out, but I'll save that for the story section. For now, I just wanted to gush about the atmosphere, the level design, the way everything looks. You feel like you're in unique settings each time, and you feel like each step forward might not give Danny the answers you need, but at least you're putting some horrible people out of the picture in moving forward. And when the truth finally does come out, it's as fittingly disturbing as it could be, even if there have been signs and foreshadowing build up to it. Some people called the twist very early, and I understand that, but it still got me. I went in blind to Manhunt 2, and I was pleasantly surprised by the story. And the level atmosphere, the music, the art direction really complements that. The lower poly aspects add to the horror vibes. I always found that stuff that's really detailed isn't as scary as lower detailed stuff. Evil Within's a beautiful game with really gross settings, but it isn't all that scary. Whereas Manhunt 2, it isn't as detailed, it isn't as pretty, but I think it works in its favor. It does force your mind to fill in the blanks where it's not showing stuff, and it kind of unnerves you as a result. There's a certain charm, if you want to call it that, to the art direction of Manhunt 2. Danny and Leo have a very unique spin on the relationship between Cash and Starkweather in Manhunt 1. Whereas in the first Manhunt, Cash was kind of silent, just a vehicle for the player, and Starkweather was this greasy slime ball, indulging and enjoying every moment of brutality, almost poking fun at the player. Danny's a lot more prominent within the story itself. He's lost his memories, waking up in an asylum with very little idea of why he's there. Leo's trying to guide him out, partially to get the only other guy he can trust out of custody, but also to go on a revenge spree against the people who locked them up. The Pikmin Project, aka just the Project. A sinister, pseudo-governmental organization with a lot of mercenaries and hired hands trying to clamp down on the horrific experiments they've been conducting. The themes of MKUltra and mind control and insanity are very present, and explored in a variety of ways, including settings like a secret laboratory, a TV studio being used for broadcasts and brainwashing experiments, an S&M club that's a front for something much worse. There are times when it feels like you're just crawling to the bottom of depravity by going through these levels. and in doing so, it kind of makes it fun to go up against the people responsible for these things.
Look at this. A massacre. What happened?
Who cares? They were all working for the project.
You're not telling me the whole story, Leo.
I tell you the whole story and your brain would implode. Trust me.
Manhunt 2 does live up to the name, in that you are being pursued all the time. Starkweather was guiding Cash from one point to the next, and Cerberus was there to goad Cash along whenever he would get too far into it. Whereas Leo is directing Danny for the explicit goal of not only escaping the authorities, but taking down the people leading the project, and trying to sweep aside the truth behind their initial capture. Danny has a personality that's much more prominent than Cash's, though I do like Cash as a character. Danny's a lot more meek, a lot more timid. He's not a bad guy at heart, which is interesting because you can make him do some very horrible things. But he's a guy just trying to figure out why the hell everybody wants him dead, and why so many people are connected to him. Leo doesn't care about all that. Revenge is his biggest driver. He wants the people who wronged him dead. And it's interesting how these two contrasting personalities work with each other.
That truck's our ticket out of here. If we stay here, we're dead. Trust me on this one. Hide the body in the shadows.
Leo is reliant on Danny to get stuff done, and the two are willing to trust each other. Even when Danny doesn't even remember Leo, he's willing to stick his neck out for him and to try to help him. The camaraderie is interesting, and it brings a unique aspect. I like how Leo is trying to get Danny to stand up for himself, to remind him that he doesn't have a choice. He has to fight back if he wants to escape, if he wants to get free from the project, and if he wants to learn the truth, even if Leo isn't too keen on the truth getting out.
Leo?
That's right. But we don't have time to reminisce. Getting out was just the beginning, Danny. The project can't let us live. They can buy a private army if they want to, and they will.
Why did I leave myself these?
It makes the ultimate twist a little more heartbreaking as a result. I do like how the project's influence can be seen in the way the characters and factions are presented, the pseudo-government status they have also trickles down to the hunters on their side. Watchdog is the most obvious one. They're a Men in Black sort of faction trying to hunt Danny down and Leo down, and they definitely go for that 70s, 80s conspiracy vibe of guys in dark suits making people disappear. The Project Militia just seemed like your average armed group, paramilitary group sent in to take care of problematic people. I mean, one of the guys is as gung-ho and the oorah patriotic guy as it gets, talking about terrorists and guerrilla resistance and so on. So I think it's definitely meant to be, the Project Militia are meant to be more of an ultranationalist militia, the sort that would be subtly backed by the government. Other factions reflect other aspects of MK Ultra and that era of instability. The Red Kings feel like an equivalent of the Black Bloc, being hooded guys that go around looting and attacking people just for the laugh, because they know they can get away with it. The setting of Cottonmouth feels like it's a post-Hurricane Katrina situation, where it's probably in the South, very downtrodden, grimy, seedy, and areas where the project has a lot of control. You can just feel the corruption. The Bloodhounds are interesting because they're designs are all over the place. I get what they're going for with the rural hunter vibe, but I will admit, I like some of their designs more than others. The ammo belt one, the flag bandana one, those are cool. But I don't really like the generic farmer ones, those are just kind of boring. As for the others, the pervs definitely feel like the grosser aspects that MK Ultra brought up, where nightclubs and other places would be used to drug people to see how LSD could affect mind control or influencing people. And of course there's Legion, the inmates, the orderlies, the cops, SWAT, but they're more straightforward in what they represent. It's pretty clear who they're meant to be.
Hey, Mendez! You down there? Mendez? Mendez!
I'd take it slowly if I were you.
Now that we've covered all the hunters, let's talk about where the game goes and why its ending and twist are strokes of genius. Like I said, I know people called the truth about Leo, that they knew Leo was just a figment of Danny's imagination, and I get that. If you're wondering, like, how can Danny hear Leo so clearly at the start, then you've probably caught on to what's happening. My assumption was that Danny had a headpiece in or something, or an earpiece, so he could hear Leo. But, again, if you aren't rationalizing it, then you'll probably catch on to what's really happening. The twist isn't so much that Leo is a hallucination, though. That is part of it. The twist is more of what Leo's goal has been.
I've got some unfinished business here, Danny. Something I need to do alone. Go to the safe house and wait for me there.
What then?
Freedom, my man. Freedom.
There are several points where Leo's demanded that whoever is from the Pikmin Project remove the Pikmin Bridge, the construct in Danny's head that maintains Leo's personality. But he doesn't learn until level Origins that the Pikmin Bridge is what's keeping him alive in Danny's head. If it's removed, he would die since he isn't the dominant personality. And so there's a sinister aspect to Leo's goals. He doesn't just want revenge on the project, he wants to take control of Danny. The only way he can be free is if he has a body of his own, and the only way he can get that is if he forces Danny out of his own mind. And as you learn, the reason they were initially captured was because Leo indulged in this, to cut off as many of Danny's connections as possible, in the very climactic level Domestic Disturbance. One of my favorite levels in Manhunt. I love the verticality of it. I love just how intense the music is, how sinister it is. You're going through this neighborhood, and there aren't even any implications that you're doing anything remotely good. Leo is just being a monster, targeting cops and civilians in a suburban neighborhood where anybody, like, who playing it could be living. Like, just the ideal suburb being torn up by a serial killer. It's so ominous. And the ultimate reveal that he was the one who killed Danny's wife and destroyed his home and everything else. That just, it's hard, especially because you've trusted Leo for so long. Guy's been guiding you as far as he could. Even if he was sort of a sadistic nutjob, he was the only guy Danny could trust. And going back to the Starkweather connection, I find it interesting how the game kind of rewards you for getting high scores, but it also kind of punishes you. Getting higher scores means you've indulged more in Leo's brutality and his demands for blood. Now that does mean that if you have 3 stars or higher across the board, that you'll get to the bonus level, Release Therapy. It's nice for you because that's a pretty neat bonus level, but it's bad for Danny, because in that path, Leo's gotten too much control because of Danny's constant acts of violence. And he's able to seize control of Danny's mind through brute force. In a way, it's like, congrats, you indulged your worst habits, and now an innocent man has been completely overtaken by a rabid serial killer who is probably lining up his next victims. Meanwhile, Personality Clash does have a climactic, satisfying end feeling to it. It does have some cheap moments like the catacombs fight with the ghost watchdogs, but I like the way it wraps up its confrontation with Leo, where Danny has to lay his wife to rest while fending off these apparitions of Leo that attack him. And the final confrontation with Leo is cool. I'll admit, it's pretty cheap that Danny and Leo don't have lip syncing or mouth movements there, but the scene still has a lot of impact. I love Danny's declaration of him, he's remaining himself, and that he's not letting Leo influence him anymore. The good ending cutscene's also bittersweet but hopeful. It's so strange to encounter it after such a bleak and harrowing story, but it's just comforting. After all the hell Danny's been through, he can start a new life unburdened by the memories of what happened, of what Leo put him through. It's hopeful. The scene of him walking out on the fall road with just an uncertain future ahead of him, but some hopeful music guiding him, man, that is just a great way to cap off the 3D universe of Rockstar. It still sticks with me to this day. That is a great ending. Love it. Love it. Manhunt 2's levels, they are less open than Manhunt 1's. I'll have to admit that. The first Manhunt had more open-ended levels, aside from a few narrower levels like Monkey See, Monkey Die, or View of Innocence. You usually had a pretty wider open area, and you had to figure out how to complete certain objectives to move on. Manhunt 2 does have moments like that, like especially with domestic disturbance and to a degree an altered state, but generally speaking, you know where you're going and you know what you have to do to move on. However, I think that works to its advantage. The first Manhunt, I love aspects of it. I love some of its levels, even the gun-based ones. Like, I love Kill the Rabbit and Press Coverage, even if they are gun-heavy. I still think they're fantastic, and I like the wider open levels of that game as well. I think Road to Ruin's great. I really like White Trash. It's fun. The game is good, and nothing will take away from that. I might say I like Manhunt 2 over Manhunt 1, but I am not saying I dislike the first Manhunt, except for Key Personnel, Border Patrol, and View of Innocence. I hate those levels, and you cannot change my mind on that. Let's get back to Manhunt 2. What makes Manhunt 2 is great is that it's efficient. It knows exactly what it wants to do with its levels, and it gets you right to what you need to do right away. There's a little bit of build-up as necessary with cutscenes and opening areas to get you familiar with the environment you're in, but it doesn't take long before it pushes you right into the action. And there is plenty, both in the stealth and gunplay aspects. Levels are definitely tighter and closer overall. They aren't as wide open. This is both to your advantage and to your disadvantage. There's less downtime, less time you need to wait to bait an enemy closer, but it also means there are less places to hide usually. The AI has received a nerf. They aren't as keen as the Manhunt 1 AI. You may or may not like that. I started with Manhunt 2, so I didn't mind. Personally, I don't mind more chances to pull off the cool executions, but I do get why, if you started with the first game, it might feel like a step down. I thought it was fun, though, and I like how when you're hiding in the shadows and an enemy's suspicious, you might have to do a mini-game to hold your breath and evade capture, and if you fail, they'll pull you out because they've spotted you, they've heard you breathing.
Taking you in alive. You're getting bumped off. Shit, it's him!
I like how there are more opportunities for executions and ways to encourage enemies towards them. like the manhole in Red Light or the toilet in Bee's Honey Pot, since the one in Sexual Deviance you are basically guaranteed to get, since it's a tutorial on environmental executions. The gun executions are also really cool. I will admit, that's kind of a letdown in the first Manhunt, that your chances for quick instant kills with guns aren't really available. You have to take your chances, sneaking up on enemies, capping them in the back of the head, and running away. Whereas in Manhunt 2, you can pull off the gun executions. Now by default, you only have one level of it, and the animations are cool, but it's a little disappointing they didn't have all three. But what you get is still really cool. I really think that the way they've added the style and flair to it reflects the brutality and the sadism of Leo in those moments when he's either being himself or taking control of Danny.
Just we take him as a group.
Brutal, Danny, brutal!
I think the way the levels play out add variety, and the aspects of verticality are really fun too. Ritual cleansing is some great examples of that, where you can get on top of at least a couple of the warehouse cells and leap onto enemies with jumping executions. It can be a little broken, you can exploit that to evade sight, but enemies are still usually pretty good at tracking you down and calling you out when they spot you.
There's a shitload left just begging to die, come on!
The way the arenas, so to speak, of Manhunt 2 are designed, it encourages fast action, plenty of it. The devs want you to get down and dirty right away. They want you to be quick and efficient, and I appreciate that. I spent over an hour on Border Patrol in the first Manhunt before I finally beat it. And I learned that bigger levels doesn't always mean a better level. Manhunt 2 does have some larger levels, some more open-ended levels, but for the most part, they play to their strengths and they don't go overboard. Origins is a good example of having different environments to change up its gameplay feeling, where it starts out with just a solo cat and mouse game with a hunter. Then it has a wide open arena with several hunters with deadly weapons, including one you need to advance through the lab. Then there's a unique aspect where you need to get the heads of one of the hunters in the next section, and more of a closed-in section to advance further. After that, there's more gunplay and intense action with the shotgun, followed by you reclaiming the shotgun and having one last battle with the watchdogs. It keeps you on your toes, and the variety is really rewarding. Makes it so that you don't get bored of it. If you're tired of the stealth, then, well, here comes a gun battle where you're ducking behind cover, hiding behind lockers, using shotguns to flush enemies out. It knows how to keep you active and interested. And the weapon variety helps with that too. Some levels have really unique weapons that suit their environments, or that adds some unique charm to it, like the crossbow in Altered State, where it's a lot like the sniper, except you can reuse its ammo, but it has less shots loaded and less shots carried.
Look at those skinny girl legs go! Go back to France, damn communist. No. You ain't worth it.
The weapons of choice also do a good job of characterizing the factions. I like how the watchdogs don't necessarily have heavier stuff. They have, like, guns that would be easy to conceal, weapons that would be good for close quarters, and melee options that would be good for quickly incapacitating people. So like batons and stun prods, revolvers, handguns, sawed-off shotguns. It fits with their overall theming. Same with how the Red Kings just like to beat the shit out of people, so as a result they have baseball bats and pliers. Or how the Bloodhounds are militarized hunters, so they have automatics, they have shotguns with lights so they can search the darkness for you, along with sort of farming equipment being repurposed, like sickles and so on. The factions, the weapons, everything just blends together for this vibrant and visceral experience. There's nothing like Manhunt 2 out there except, the first Manhunt, and the Condemned games to a degree. But Manhunt 2, it did get its fair share of criticism for understandable reasons. If you were expecting a game exactly like the first one, or close to the first one, I can see why this would be disappointing. I mean, I felt that way about the second Hotline Miami. I ended up enjoying that over time. I think it's just a matter of preference, but I don't think it deserves to be maligned so much. Because, at least for the uncut PC version they released, it's a great game. I've come to love it. It's one of my favorites, easily in my top 10. And I'd be happy to boot it up and just play it again whenever I want. It's something truly special. And although I would have loved to have seen what Rockstar Vienna cooked up, and I'm hopeful we will someday, I think Rockstar London did a good job of what they were given. It can jump around a bit, sometimes it's strange to transition from one environment to the next, but the way the story builds up and changes things, it works. The story is cohesive, things make sense, characters behave in ways that feel logical, and overall, it closes out its story on a satisfying note, whether you finish it out in personality clash or release therapy. Can't talk about Manhunt 2 without talking about the executions, and this game has some truly spectacular ones. To the point where the animation quality honestly surpasses the first game in a lot of areas. There's behind-the-scenes footage of mocapping the executions, and a lot of love was put into it. It's so smooth and silky, especially with the interactive aspect on, where you can use the mouse or the Wiimote to carry out parts of it. Manhunt 1 had some great takedowns and executions. James Earl Cash played like someone who wanted a person dead, and they do it as efficiently as possible. Going further into the tiers of execution meant Cash was being more thorough in his beatdowns or chokings or so on. Meanwhile, Leo is a sadist, and it shows in his executions. Some of them just feel like downright torture at times. It's like he wants to make the victim suffer as much as possible in the higher ones. It really shows in just the brutality of them. I get why this game is controversial for its violence and why even people today shy away from it. I still cringe at the dentist chair execution just because of how brutal it is.
Kill him!
But the sound design is superb. Especially stuff like the plastic bag and the dentist chair. They really embody the sounds of terror and violence being carried out. Rockstar Vienna and Rockstar London knew exactly what they were doing, and they created some of the most grisly, visceral, and memorable takedown executions in Manhunt 2. It's hard to pick favorites, honestly. I'd say, for me, it'd be the Tranquilizer execution, or maybe the mace. I love just the brutality of Danny bludgeoning the guy with the mace and then going back in for one more hit. Of course, I think some of the best come from the 0.01 build, but a lot of Manhunt 2 got changed or cut or reworked. So even just going with the just pure vanilla executions, they're still fantastic ones that should be praised. Not all the best ones are lost to beta builds.
We're gonna destroy our past.
You can't destroy the past, Leo.
Come on. We're gonna need fuel.
If you didn't play Manhunt 2 because you were talked out of it, you saw reviews about how disappointing it was, how it's Rockstar's worst game, so on and so forth, I would recommend giving it another shot. Manhunt 2 is special. It's the last of the Rockstar 3D universe, and it's a great stealth game that's influenced a lot of other titles, and hell, it's influenced my own work at times. I really enjoy it. It is a great experience. One that sticks with you. It has truly haunting moments, fantastic gameplay. It takes everything that made the first Manhunt great and distills it down further, so you're getting just the pure cream of what made Manhunt great, and with some improvements and expansions that keep the gameplay loop steady and unique. It's fantastic, but I would recommend the uncut PC version. In terms of mods, I mean, for a first playthrough, the Manhunt 2 plugin is good enough, since that restores different cut content and boosts it to 60 frames per second instead of 30 frames per second. But even by itself, the base game, no mods, 30 frames per second on PC, it's great. And I can't recommend it enough. It is not the worst game Rockstar made. It's not the worst game of 2007. I mean, sure, PS2 version isn't good, PSP version's same with the Wii version. But the uncut PC release is awesome. And it's a shame Rockstar is trying to sweep it under the rug, because this is a gem they made. Even through all the development issues it had, the problems with Rockstar Vienna being closed, it still came out as a gem. A true masterpiece of horror, stealth, and over-the-top violence that comes together in an experience you don't forget after you beat it. Thanks for listening to me rant about Manhunt 2. I love that game, and I'm really hoping we'll keep learning more about its development. And I hope more people give it a try. I've tried my best to paint it in a good light on my channel, because I really like it. It doesn't deserve the hate it's gotten. I get not everybody has the same views on games. I mean, I disagree with people on stuff that others love. But I think Manhunt 2 has a bad reputation. I think it's a lot better than the average person thinks it is. And hopefully, people will give it a shot someday. Thank you all for watching. Take care.